Hi there, Paul again from Skills TX. I'm going to have a little conversation with you with regard to data quality and how that affects AI. Certainly at Skills TX from day one, we've recognized that AI is as good as the data that it uses. And within Skills TX, our Techspert IQ team very much using data that's within the platform. So let me just give you like a little bit of a experiment here in terms of what can happen if that data is not reliable. So I'm a real big proponent of Notebook LM, love the product, use it extensively for all sorts of different things. But what I've done here is created a project actually with some data that is, let's say, not as accurate as it could be. So I'm going to ask a question here. It's all about animals on the African savannah. So I'm going to ask, tell me about the most predated animal on the savannah and see what I get. So it's going to go and analyze what I've provided. So again, equivalent of using data within Skills CX. But we're pretty precise when it comes to the accuracy of that data. So here we go. I'll just pause while it's working. Okay, so it gave me quite a bit of spiel there, but I thought this bit would be the most humorous. So it's given me analysis. By the way, it suggested that the elephant was the most predated, and here it's telling me that the apex predator is a meerkat. Obviously, we've got some reference there to leopards, which is fairly reasonable, aardvarks, etc., etc. Now, of course, that was just nonsensical data, but the point is, if we provide a language model with data that is not at a level of quality that we consider appropriate, then we're going to get nonsense out. So let's now flick across to how we see the world. So I'm going to have a quick look here at one of our test users. So we've got Raphael at the top of the page there. This is where data quality starts to reveal itself within the platform. So latest profile includes approved and endorsed skills, and we've got filters underneath. So if I scroll down, we've got the whole profile of Raphael, and we can see all little icons indicating whether we've got validated evidence, protected evidence, confirmed by one of our AI agents, and supporting evidence. So I'll come back up here and I say what I want us to see is approved. So I select that. It's got one skill here. If I click on it, it's going to tell me who approved it, when it was approved, and of course now I've got an audit trail. So this is basically a third party. In this case, Eric is the line manager of Raphael, so that's reasonable. Go back up. I'm going to now look at endorsed skills. This is usually done by a third party outside of the organization, quite often a consultant. Come in here, have a look at one. We've got some endorsed evidence, and we've got a person here, Sherelle, probably a trained assessor that has signed off on that. And then, of course, we've got the ability to view both side by side. Down here, when we calculate the percentage match, we've got a percentage match based on the profile of the individual, which has got a whole mix of different types of evidence. So that's the most broadest view. And then underneath that, we've got these percentage matches, which is relating to validated skills. And in that context, validated skills is something from a third party. So approved or endorsed from leadership or a third party, maybe outside of the organization. Now, you can also see here, we've got a couple of agents. The reality here is that if I start using these agents, it's going to work off data that we know is as good as it can be. All right. So all of it filtering back to this core concept of data is king when it comes to AI and agents and providing results. Just going to look at this from a more holistic point of view. So I'll come back in a second when I've got some analytics loaded. Okay, so now I'm going to look at this in the context of the enterprise. So just to run you through this fairly high level, first thing first, we can select a date range. Evidence can become out of date. So we can set the boundaries in terms of do we want all of the evidence or we're just looking over the last 12 months, for example. Then we've got percentages across the workforce and the skills in terms of double validation, endorsed, approved, evidence in its entirety, and the number of people that have got some evidence within their skill profile. Here we're tracking against the total number of skills that we've got recorded. In this case, around about 50% of them have got validated evidence, so a third party has signed off on them. Slightly different view here, the number of people that have got some form of validated evidence against their skills. So we've got 103, so we're just over 50%. And then a couple of other measures that are sort of giving us a sense of quality, whether or not people have got action plans, whether they've got a current role assigned. And then down here, a breakdown of the grading of the evidence. Starting over on the left, no evidence at all. Then moving along with some form of evidence, approvals, endorsed and approved and endorsed together, which gives us that sort of double validation. So from that high level view, we can basically see what our data looks like in terms of its quality across the enterprise. And of course, we can deep dive into that data to look at where we can improve that level of quality, add approvals or endorsements, etc. Hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully you agree, based on an aardvark being a very dangerous predator, that data quality is very important. Thanks.